My next question is for Alan. Approval voting is known for eliminating vote splitting and spoilers. Can you give some examples of areas which have benefited electorally from the use of approval voting? And I do think you touched on an example in your first answer, but anything else you want to add?
There were two cities in the United States that were using approval voting. One was Fargo, North Dakota, and the other one still is St. Louis. Unfortunately, in North Dakota, there was a ban of alternative voting methods, including both ranked choice voting and approval voting, and that reverted the Fargo approval city back to choose one. But in St. Louis and Fargo, people in those cities were really, really happy with it. So I mentioned already in St. Louis that in November they voted for it, and then in March they implemented it. Well, the next year they voted on it again of whether to enshrine it in their city charter, and they approved. They said yes at an even higher rate than they did in the first time. It was like 64%. So you could see that the people really liked it. The other, I also point out a resource called approval.vote. It's a website, and there you can see the approval voting elections that have been run in the United States and all their results. There's also a ranked.vote, but it doesn't have all of the data, unfortunately. But approval.vote is a great resource to see kind of where approval voting has had success. I'll give a further example from St. Louis. The St. Louis elected its first Black woman mayor after implementing approval voting. And in that race, she ran against almost the exact same set of candidates that she had in the previous election. The difference was the vote wasn't split between other candidates like her. And that led to her election with I think 60% approval or something like that. So yeah, it was a real example of approval voting showing that it can fix vote splitting problems. Thanks.